And that jarring cacophony tells you you're back with the Power of Three podcast. And we're here for a bonus episode because this wasn't originally planned, but let's be honest, there's a major Doctor Who star coming to Scotland and it would be a bit daft if we didn't give it a bit of a plug. Yes, Sophie Aldred is coming to Sci-Fife. I'm Kenny Smith and we're going to be speaking with the people behind the event and indeed Ace herself. Sophie Aldred will be joining us very soon. So, what on earth are we talking about? We're talking about Sci-Fife's event, an Ace afternoon with Sophie Aldred, taking place on Saturday, the 18th of April, in the Carnegie Hall in Dunfermline, which of course is the hometown of Ncuti Gatwa. So, what can I tell you about the event? It says, the TARDIS lands in Dunfermline. Join us for an afternoon with Doctor Who's companion Ace, actress Sophie Aldred, to chat about her time on Doctor Who, both classic and new. Also joining us are series creature and costume creators Stephen Mansfield and Robert Alsop, who will be bringing original props and costumes from the show. Autograph opportunities will be available for purchase on the day. And this event takes place in the Studio Theatre at Carnegie Hall. As I said, it's the 18th of April. Tickets are £26.50 including the booking fee, and it all gets underway at 2 p.m. And having been to Sci-Fife's first event, which saw Kevin Davis come to talk about his book on Douglas Adams, I can heartily recommend it because it's a great venue, small, compact, a bit like Doctor Who conventions used to be when you'd have those smaller ones taking place in more local venues. And it's a great chance to actually get proper time with the guest rather than feeling like you're in a queue and being rushed through and next, after you've paid an extortionate amount of money to meet the guest and then a similarly extortionate amount to get them to sign your picture. Not in any way pointing my fingers, elbows and everything else at these comic cons that are held throughout Britain these days. Yes, this is very much a throwback to the good old days when you could actually feel that you were listening to a guest and you weren't being rushed along and being yet another number in a big system. That's a personal opinion, of course. Some people like that, but it's not for me. So, let's find out more about this event by speaking to the man who's organised it and one of his guests who he's bringing up as well.
Hello, I'm Chris Cassell, founder of Sci-Fife.
Hello, I'm Stephen Mansfield. I'm a sculptor, prop maker, portrait artist, all manner of things. I'm a great mate of Chris, who's kindly invited me to Sci-Fife, along with the lovely Sophie Aldred and the brilliant Rob Alsop. So I'm coming in just to sort of say hello and have a chat about it, really.
Fantastic. So Chris, for those who don't know, tell us what Sci-Fife is.
Well, I developed Sci-Fife simply because I felt like there wasn't enough film and TV related events in Fife. So last year, our first event that we held was an evening with Kevin John Davis, a mutual friend of all of us, and that went down really well. And people kept coming up to me after the event saying, "When's the next one?" And I was like, "Well, there is no next one. There's no plan B here." It was a one-off. And then as time passed, I thought, well, maybe there's scope, and through a career change, some doors had opened up to me. And as I now work for On Fife, which owns at least 4 theatres across the county, I thought, well, maybe we could do something. And I thought, well, who would I like to see up here? I grew up I was born in the early 80s. Sylvester and Sophie's era was mine for Doctor Who. So I thought, well, maybe there's a chance that Sophie might like to come up. And I thought, well, I'm very lucky enough to have some friends who worked on the show in that era, a certain Mr. Mansfield and
good evening.
Yeah, and Robert Alsop as well, both very talented chaps and both very, very good company. And I thought, well, maybe I could craft an event out of this. I managed to have a chat with Sophie, and I said, would you like to play Carnegie Hall? No, not that one. It's Carnegie Hall in Dunfermline.
Well, hang on. It isn't that one.
No, I'm sorry. Yes,
man.
we're not going to the States. It's we're up in Fife.
Okay.
So,
I was wondering about those tickets. So it makes sense.
Which is beautiful, as you know.
Yes, I know.
So
I do know.
Because you have visited before.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it came together essentially. And yeah, so on Saturday the 18th of April, we're going to have Sophie and Robert and Stephen in Carnegie Hall, and there's going to be a talk, a Q&A, a signing, and there's going to be some original props from the series up here as well. And I
think
if all goes to plan, there might even be a raffle with some quite tasty prizes. So my advice is, if you're attending, and I hope you can attend, ticket sales have been healthy, but we'd love more people to come along. I'd say bring cash. Because I don't think there's any card facilities at the venue. So yeah, the message would be bring cash. But if you would like to come to the event, and I'm being totally on point now, you can visit onfife.com and just search for an Ace Afternoon with Sophie Aldred, or you can go to any of the On Fife theatres and book tickets if you're more local, or you can phone the Carnegie Hall box office directly on 01383 602 302. So there's my big plug.
Fantastic. And of course, Stephen, I've seen what you've done when you did your visit to the Monster Men in Allerton. Gosh, that must have been, a couple of years ago now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it does seem a way back. Although, you get these reminders, don't you, on Facebook or whatever, and I'm always surprised how when I see something and I think, oh, why is it reminding me of this already? And then you see it's, I don't know, 3 years or something like that. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a very, very good event. Yeah,
because you had a few recognisable old friends from the show along that day. So can we expect an old friend or two?
We're getting good old Fifi up there again, who is I'm hoping everybody might know who that is who's watching this, because otherwise it's a kind of alien dog sort of thing, and she was the pet of the villain in a story called The Happiness Patrol, and it was a puppet character which I worked myself, and Susan Moore and I built this character. And when I say character, there were actually 2 or 3 of them which all did different things. But yeah, it like a lot of these props, particularly if they're made of foam latex like this was, it's had to be restored. I mean, they really don't last very well. But the puppet that I'm bringing up, it's now kind of a display piece more than anything. But the eyes still work, and people can come have a go working the eyes, and the blink and all of that kind of stuff all still works. But it's quite a fragile thing, so you literally can't work it like put your hand in the head or anything anymore. So that will be there, and I will be bringing a couple of Haemovore heads. And I don't know, there's a couple of smaller things that I'm going to cut, because I have this kind of slightly elaborate box for Fifi to go in. It's a bit like an overlarge, the kind of container you take a cat to the vet in or whatever. And if I can squeeze any other little things in there with her, I will. So but it will depend on whether I can get them in. So there'll be a nice little range of bits and pieces to see, and you get up close with. They're not behind glass or or anything like that. And as I say, something like Fifi, there'll be a photo op with that, I'm guessing, and you will be able to sort of operate, work the eyes and the blink and sort of have a go on it. So should be fun.
Yeah, I'm just picturing you now with a cat box carrying this giant Stigerax in it. So
I would listen. It's actually under the desk where I'm sitting now. It's a big old box because she has to be kind of almost floating in the middle. It can't be resting up against the side or anything like that. And it's now on a kind of pedestal thing, and
as she should be. As she should be.
Well, absolutely. So she's not eye height. She's basically, at least she's not on the floor. So you can have a great picture with it, and it should be it should be a nice one. I've been to a couple of events, and as you say, the Allendale one, and she's always very popular, considering she's so horrible in the programme.
She was just misunderstood.
I think so. I mean, I'm bringing with me, incidentally, because it's such a good little character. When we did the thing at the BFI, when they launched the new Blu-ray, I had these cards made up, which are Fifi handprints. They're kind of, it's like the nearest. I've got one here. Of course, I've got one here to show you. Look, there it is.
Oh, it's a potograph.
Oh my God, I'd never even thought of that. A
Brilliant.
potograph.
Yeah, that's a great name.
It could either be, is it blood? Is it that, surprise? What is it? Strawberry surprise she's trod in? Something. But the point is, they're all individually done. I individually took the puppet's leg and sort of blurged it on. So they're all individual and different. So there'll be stuff like that. It's as far as I can make out, and knowing that Chris is in charge, it will be a lot of fun. I expect to laugh a lot during the day.
Yeah,
for good reasons.
No pressure.
No, it will. No, because I reckon you'll do it wonderfully. I've just got that,
Bless you.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Incidentally, Chris, I've still got my little Marvin here. He's still on my desk.
Oh, yeah.
So he sits on my desk every day.
Oh, lovely. Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I think, unfortunately, due to a variety of reasons, I don't think there's going to be anything quite like that at this event. But like I said, in the raffle, there'll be a couple of nice items, I'd say. I mean, one of them might be a kind of screen-accurate looking baseball bat, for example, that Sophie might sign. So we'll just see how we get on with that one.
So, Chris, I think the fact that there's going to be a lovely visual element is going to help. The fact that we've got Stephen bringing Fifi, and who knows what else could be there on the day. I've got my fingers crossed for something else, but
there are. Yes, I will definitely be bringing a couple of other bits with me. But as I say, it's partly what I can get in the box with her, and partly what I can cram onto the train. So it's. Without causing an affray. So there'll be some nice stuff to see, definitely. I'm definitely hoping to bring at least one Haemovore mask, or maybe two if I can, which would be great.
Yeah, I remember seeing you making those on 31 Who back in the day in 1990 on BSB.
Oh Lord, yes, yeah.
Pushing the seeds in and watching them germinate in the clay, and happy times and places.
Oh, it was happy times, and it was actually quite. That was so unplanned, the idea of the seeds germinating. I mean, you can kind of see them if you look close up, but literally you would unwrap the clay in the morning, and it's been, and the seeds have been sitting there overnight thinking, oh, this is nice. I'm in a nice damp, place, and it's nice and dark and all that, and it's time to germinate. And so you would get all this extra little bit of detail showing up on the face, which of course we just thought, right, well, yeah, keep that. That's just adds to it. So it was. They were fun things to do, and they felt like, how can I put it, like proper Doctor Who monsters, in that they were rubbery. There were about 6 of them to take over the world or whatever it is. They stalked around slowly, and although in fact, to be fair, they are actually quite light on their feet, actually, and they get into fights and things. I quite like that. They they do a lot of, vampire-y type stalking. And then there's a couple definitely in it that have a go at Sophie, I think, on the roof.
Yep.
And they like properly get into a fight and then get shot and all sorts. So they weren't hampered by their costumes, which I think really adds to it. It's rather nice.
I'm not going to lie. For me personally, pure nightmare fuel at that age when the episodes went out. It really
the
was.
Haemovore, really?
Yeah. Particularly, actually thinking about it, the destruction of Phyllis and Jean.
Yes.
That really stuck with me as well. Just,
all
very
covered up
unnerving.
because I remember seeing it on take 2. Gosh, you can tell that I was a fan indeed. I recorded everything and sort of showing how the masks were done, but and sort of their faces dissolving and just brilliant stuff. All on the Blu-ray, of course, for those of you who haven't seen it. So
that's right, yes, because they did cut back on it a little bit, didn't they? And on the televised version. So thank goodness you can, because I think that was Mike Tucker and his gang who did that effect, but. Yeah, it was a happy memory because we went down to the set where they were doing it, on location, and it was just it was actually a really lovely atmosphere. It was nice. I mean, it was a lovely sort of village, and everybody was seemed to be in a jolly mood. Mind you, we were only there for about half a day, but. It could have all gone all sorts of ways, but it felt like a lovely, we were working, Susan and I were working for a terrific costume designer and a makeup designer. It was Ken Drew who did the costumes and Dee Barron who did the makeup, and they were brilliant. They kind of combined their budget and in order to pay for the masks, because the original plan was to do the ancient Haemovore, which had been designed by Ken, or he'd done a kind of rough sketch, which we interpreted, to be in line with, for practical reasons. And then the idea was, it was such a big thing that what they were going to do was just take sections of it out and then glue them to the other 5 in increasing amounts. And in pretty short order during the early meetings, everybody, the makeup, the makeup designer D, just thought, this is going in the water. Chances of us getting everything in the same place, this stuff not coming off, it actually works. And then so we said, well, what about masks and half masks and things like that? It's just going to make it so much easier. And so they they kind of collaborated budget-wise in order to take it in a slightly different direction, but in a direction we kept it as simple as possible. Pull on masks, just with elastic holding them on, and modelled in a way that you didn't have to blend them. It kind of like the join, if it showed, became part of the design. So it didn't matter if they weren't glued or blended, because, it wouldn't have lasted. So, yeah, I'm quite fond of them, actually. And we tried to make them characterful so that they don't look just like blobs. They actually look fearsome or a bit threatening, and just generally, you can see where they were humans at one point. And there's bits of bone showing where whatever the Haemovore infection is, it just takes over, and it doesn't really matter about the body inside. So it's just shifting bits of skull and spine and stuff around.
It's absolutely brilliant stuff. And as Chris says, it is proper nightmare fuel. But I've just been thinking there that this is actually a really nice sort of mini celebration of the 7th Doctor era. And of course, the 7th Doctor was the first Scottish Doctor.
Well, hey!
Absolutely perfect.
Yeah. That was, my personal opinion is like all the Scottish doctors are the best ones, but steady, but no, and
well, I'm not going to disagree with you necessarily.
No,
just because I'm quite fond of ones who weren't necessarily Scottish, but it doesn't matter, does it?
No, you're Pertwee's yours.
Yeah,
isn't
yes,
he?
yes.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
your
Who's
mate.
great. I mean, they're all great, but I have a particular affinity for the Scottish doctors, I'd say. And I mean, you know, as it's been mentioned before, the previous incumbent of the TARDIS actually was raised in Dunfermline for a bit. I was lucky enough to meet him at an event in Birmingham the tail end of last month. And I tell you one thing about going there, which was a lovely surprise on 2 counts. One, loads of Ace jackets. Huge amount of people in kind of Ace costumes, and also, which was utterly brilliant, which I sent you the photo of, Steve, and there was someone who dressed up as Helen A, and they had their own Fifi puppet, which was lovely, you know.
I was stunned by that. And do you know what? To be fair, I got about 2 or 3 unsolicited shots of this lady and her Fifi character from all sorts of different people, and it was lovely. It was just one of these smashing sort of moments, and she did it really well, didn't she?
She did. I think she should have won, actually, but I think
did she not win?
No, she got a special mention, and I think she deserved higher up the scale there, you know.
Right.
But the whole thing about, you know, again, if you come into the event, bring your Ace jackets. I believe Sophie's bringing her actual one. So,
but there we go. But Chris, give us a mention again as to where people can get the tickets from. One more mention.
Yeah, of course. So it's on Saturday, the 18th of April, and just head along to on5.com and search for Ace, and you'll be able to see the listing for an Ace afternoon with Sophie Aldred. Tickets are £25 plus a small booking fee, and it's at the Carnegie Hall Studio Theatre in Dunfermline, and I hope to see lots of you there.
Fantastic. And remember, for tickets, do not call 018118055. That's not the number.
No, the box office number is 01383 602 302.
Perfect.
I love the way you say that. Very professional.
I used to work at Toys R Us in Dundee, the now defunct Toys R Us, and one of the things
there wasn't a connection, was there?
Well, what it is was they said, we've got a tannoy, and we'd like you to do some tannoy announcements for like games consoles and things. Wow. And I slightly did it very tongue in cheek, but they were like, "Oh no, we'd like this," and I would literally go, "Hi, welcome to Toys R Us Dundee," and I was very much slightly taking the mickey with that, but they lapped it up, which I'm happy to say.
Well, maybe you could, if you do any announcements on the week, you know, at Sci-Fi, maybe you could do it in that style.
Maybe, you know,
I reckon that just might just give the whole thing a whole different vibe.
A bit of pizzazz, you know. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Fifi. Be careful, she might bite.
Just make sure you don't say "Welcome to Toys R Us Dundee," because that might get confusing and
slightly depressing. And that's no reflection on the people of Dundee, more Toys R Us.
Yeah, and their Doctor Who character options exclusives that they used to do.
Oh yes. They put a hole in my wallet because every time something came in, my colleagues would say, "Oh, look at this. Oh, you'll get your staff discount as well." It was a slippery slope, I tell you.
I'm actually looking at my red Dalek Alpha from the 8th Doctor set that they had, and it's over there to my side. And
I can see in Stephen's eyes, he's just saying, "Landfill."
I thought you were saying losers.
No. I'm afraid. Well, Chris knows. Yeah, I just have there's so many of these things, and I just, in my mind I see landfill, but I mean that's not I'm sure they're wonderful things. And I'll tell you something, I have in fact got a couple of, if anybody does a model of something we made, I will buy it. I don't know that the character options have, but I picked up little Haemovores and a little destroyer and quite a nice ancient Haemovore and stuff like that. So look, listen, I'm not beyond buying these things myself. So yeah.
I mean, personally, I think it's crying out for a Destroyer and Older Brig 2-pack. If you ask, not 2-pack the rapper,
Yeah.
just
I'm going to say that. Crikey, that is one hell of a set you've come up with.
that would be a combination and a half.
There'd be a lot of people stroking their chin, thinking, "What's happened here?"
So that would be a 3-pack. So the Older Brig, the Destroyer, and 2-pack Shakur is what we're looking for.
Right. Well, I'm going to be keeping my fingers crossed for that. I don't know about it.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Absolutely. Well, gents, thank you so much for your time. And
Pleasure.
To borrow from Tupac, gentlemen, that's a wrap.
Oh,
no, it's been.
done.
Thank you so much for having us both on, Kenny. It's been great fun, and
Yes.
Look forward to seeing you and hopefully some other people at the event on the 18th.
Absolutely.
Cannot wait. There we go. Huge thanks to Chris and, of course, Stephen. So, I did promise you Sophie Aldred earlier on, didn't I? Well, she's here now, and she's going to share her memories of visiting Scotland, coming up here for the first time, and indeed, of course, how much she's looking forward to coming to Dunfermline and meeting the Scottish fans. So, over to you, Soph.
My name is Sophie Aldred, and I can't say played because I still play her after all these years. I play Ace in Doctor Who.
Which is, of course, completely wicked.
Wicked as anything, yeah.
Absolutely. And of course, you're getting ready to travel to the other end of the country and force yourself to visit Scotland once again.
Listen, it's always a pleasure to visit Scotland. I have an ulterior motive these days as well because our eldest son lives in Edinburgh, so it'll be a good excuse to visit him as well as coming to Dunfermline. And I don't think I've ever spent any time in Dunfermline, so it'll be great to come and see what goes on.
Very much so. There's links to so many things like the Da Vinci Code, all these things. There's lots to see and do with Rosslyn Cathedral and things like that. And
amazing, yeah. Great. No, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to it because I think in Scotland you tend to get big Comic-Cons and not enough little dedicated events like this one is going to be. And it's going to be so nice because it's a much more intimate setting, and so people will be able to just have a chat and spend some time. And I do enjoy the smaller events, and you don't get enough of them. So I think this is going to be great.
And of course, Dunfermline is where young Ncuti Gatwa was raised.
No, I didn't know that.
There you go. There's another little Doctor Who factoid there for you.
Oh, amazing! Wow.
But I don't know where. But I know his mum works in the NHS because she's on my internal mailing list. But obviously I don't email her because that would just be rude.
Hello, Mrs. Gatwa. I'm a Doctor Who fan. Yeah, that might be a bit annoying after a while.
You know me far too well.
I do know you far too well, Kenny, yeah. We've known each other a very long time.
It is. I mean, you think first time we met was in Edinburgh when you were doing the festival. I mean, did you do quite a few shows in the festival over the years?
No, it's really funny. I did when I was a student. I first came to Edinburgh, actually before I was a student, because my first visit to Scotland ever was when I came up for an interview for university must have been 1980 it was. It was February 1980, and I'd put Edinburgh down on top of my UCA form, 4-year English course, because my head teacher had taught at the university, and she said, "Oh, you'll love Edinburgh because they do the Edinburgh Festival, and then you can do lots of plays." So I came up. It was so cold. I remember going to Henderson's fantastic vegetarian restaurant that sadly closed from where it was now and is is in a different location. It's opened up again, but it's not quite the same as it used to be, I have to say. I remember because somebody had told me that was a good place to go. So I went and had a jacket potato in Henderson's. I was 17 years old. And then I went to my B&B, which I remember was at the very top of a very tall house. And it was so cold that I had to put all my clothes on in the night, including my coat. And there I was trying to fill up my hot water bottle from the hot tap in the sink. And I actually, although I loved it and I thought it was beautiful, and I walked down the Royal Mile, and I think I bought myself a kilt at one of the sort of, now I know not to go to those rubbish shops on the Royal Mile because it's all that my friend, oh gosh, I'm going off at a tangent, but my oldest friend, Kitty Mackenzie, runs the Scottish Textile Workshop in Edinburgh, and she promotes real Scottish crafts and people and yarns and knitwear and stuff. So now I know not to buy that rubbish stuff, but at the time I didn't know, so you'll have to let me off.
Absolutely.
And then I just remember thinking, sadly, it's too cold for me to spend 4 years here. But then the next time I went was as a student, and I came for 2 years to the Edinburgh Festival with the Manchester Umbrella Theatre Company, and we did lots of shows, including I did a show called Bedford and the Ice Pops, where I was an ice cream van in a converted wheelchair with sort of like ice cream van, my head just sticking out the top. And Mira Sile was in that show, actually. She was playing one of my friends in that. Anyway, I did that 1 year, and I remember being with Doon McKeekan, who's a great friend of mine, and we remember standing outside the Fringe office singing kind of promotional songs to get people to come to see the shows. Deeply embarrassing now. And then I didn't do any more shows until Tomek, who played Captain Sorin in The Curse of Fenric, he persuaded me to do a 2-person show called Underground Man, which was based on a Dostoevsky short story called Notes from Underground. And he and his friend Grace were running a venue in Hill Street in Edinburgh. So I came up and did that, and that's where we met, is it not?
It is indeed. Yep, 1990, August 1990. I was absolutely smitten, because the next day, it was a Friday night, because the next day I was back playing hockey for the school team on the Saturday morning, and they're all right, you're really happy, what's happened to you? I met Ace from Doctor Who last night, and they're just like, oh, okay. And they all knew what I was like, so it was like, yeah, okay. So yes, they knew I was so happy.
Oh, that's sweet. Oh, well, there's a funny thing that happens, actually, because during the course of that run, as you can imagine, several of the Scottish contingent of Doctor Who fans came along to see it. And one of them, whose name I can't remember, and you probably know him, and I can see his face as clear as day. Years later, he came to me, and he'd been to see me at the stage door, like you. I'd had a photograph with him, and then he'd gone down to the mound, and his very next photograph on his negatives, and he showed me the negatives, was my now husband, Vince, street performing down on the mound. And it's extraordinary, because it was, that was what year was that?
1990.
1990. Well, it was 4 years till Vince and I met. And then, funnily enough, we met at Alton Towers doing a show for the Children's Channel. But then we kind of really got together properly in Edinburgh, because he was a street performer for years and years and years, until last year when he retired. And so ever since 1994, I've spent every summer, every August, every festival, bar one, which was when William was just born, and I couldn't bear the thought of going with a 3-year-old and a new baby. But we've spent every summer at the festival.
Yeah, and of course that's always around your birthday as well.
It is, yes, and Sylvester and I share the same birthday, and we've often celebrated together. So it's a very special place for us, Scotland and Edinburgh in particular.
Yeah. And this, again, it's a great chance to perhaps see the Scottish bands in a more local, close-up sort of venue, because I think last time you're up would have been maybe 3-4 years ago with Katie Manning, and it was just absolutely heaving in one of the big events in Braehead. So it's always nicer to get this, as you say, get that one-to-one.
It is, and I also think it's nice for the Scottish fans not to have to travel too far, because it's not fair for you, is it? You have to kind of get a long, expensive train journey or whatever, a car journey, and to have something which will be more on your doorstep, hopefully. Although if you live in Orkney, it's probably a bit of a trek.
It's probably still quicker than going to Manchester, though.
Yeah. If you live in Orkney, come and see me in Dunfermline.
Absolutely. Well, my friend Yvonne, who's a work colleague, she lives there, and she's a bit of a sci-fi fan. So, actually, she's actually just travelling back up to Orkney from Edinburgh today. So I think she might miss out, but I'll maybe get her a signed pick.
Yes, absolutely. You can do that, definitely.
Brilliant. So, Sophie, it's been brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on to chat about visiting Scotland and your love of Scotland, and look forward to seeing you in a few weeks.
Can't wait to see you.
There we go. One Sophie Aldred just for you. So, if you are interested in coming along to the event, you want to go to www.onfife.com, or alternatively, just Google it and get your ticket there. There's only a few tickets left, so hopefully, having heard this, if you were swithering, you might rush out and get them now. If you've enjoyed today's pod, feel free to leave a review for us on iTunes. We're on social media as well. We're Power of 3 Pod on Twitter with the number 3. We have a Facebook group as well. And of course, we're on Blue Sky, where we're at Finished Zine. Regular listeners will know that we like to finish up with a tune, and this one seems particularly appropriate today because this is a track from 1990. It's by Chad Jackson, and it's called Hear the Drummer. But of course, the best part is the bit that follows in brackets, and of course the drummer is gonna open those brackets, get wicked, close brackets. We'll see you very soon, and hopefully we'll see you in Dunfermline. Bye bye.
Let's move on, cause it's time to move on. Hear the drummer get wicked. Let's groove on, cause it's time to move on. Hear the drummer get wicked. Let's groove on, cause it's time to move on. Hear the drummer get wicked. Cause it's time to move on. Hear the drummer get wicked.